Hi everyone, I'm Torryn and welcome to my channel. I do bullet journal setups every month, and this month is obviously February, and it's time to see how I set up the journal for this month. I'm starting with a little quick flip through of the previous month of January, just showing you how I filled it out. I definitely used it this last month, probably, to be honest, the most I've ever used it, and it was attached to me. I was taking it to work, I was keeping it beside my bed. It was awesome. Okay, so moving on to the cover page of February. So last month I did J for Japan, and now this month is F for February, and which I've taken to be F for France. So I've started with a typical, very stereotypical drawing of a girl who's in France, in Paris, near the Eiffel Tower, on a bike, with a baguette and a flag, as you do. I'm sure you see these people all the time in Paris. So I'm using my outline to sketch out the drawing, and then I go in for a bit of pop of colour with the red and the blue. And then the text wasn't really standing out too much, so I went around it with a white gel pen, and I think that helped the text stand off a little bit. So here I'm adding in a little sneaky reference to Valentine's Day on the 14th of Feb. I thought I'd add it into the sky as like a cloud. So a very minor reference to that special day. And then I am colouring it in with my Prismacolor pencils, just in that circular part, just to make that stand out from the page a little bit more. It was all kind of blending in, so I think this helped to make the cover page really pop. And now I am cutting around the very right-hand edge where I put that line in the beginning, so that it gives you that sort of, what's it called? A Dutch door, I think it is. It reveals the page beneath, where I've just filled in a little calendar in the top right-hand side. So it just adds a lot of interest, I think. I really like doing this on my cover pages. And for some reason, it's like a natural bookmark, so you can flick right to it. So now it's time to work on the calendar page. Now I just use my hand. I don't use a ruler for these, because I quite like that natural, organic line that you get of not using a ruler. Makes you feel like it's a very simple, effortless chore that you're doing. Takes no time at all to do these fancy spreads in your bullet journal. This page is going to be themed of the artist kind of style for France, as it's very famous for its art. So I kept with the flag theme and just gave a paintbrush at the top, just add a little bit of interest. And then I used the other end of the dual tip markers that I used on the cover page. They're Ohuhu markers, if anybody is interested, and they're water-based so that they don't actually bleed through the paper. And you'll see in the future of this, in the next page I think it is, that I forget about the whole water-based versus alcohol-based, and I use an alcohol marker and it kills me. But okay, so moving on. We're now on to the next spread, and this is my to-do list page. So this pen I'm using here is a new pen to me. Came in the post this week. I was very excited. It's the Tombow calligraphy pen. I'll actually find out the proper name, and I'll even link it below in case anyone is interested. But man, it makes your calligraphy so much easier, and you can really get that bold definition between your downstrokes, which are thicker, and your upstrokes, which are thinner. So I'm really loving that pen, and it's a bit of a lifesaver. So I use it all through this month's setup. Now this page I actually theme from, it's like I'm looking above down at a coffee cup with a croissant on the side. I use really rough strokes to create the croissant so that it's got that more natural, like a rustic feel to it. Because I just wanted that sort of pastry to look a little bit flaky. And I thought by doing that cross-hatching kind of style, very loose strokes, it would give that impression. I'm adding some coffee beans around the coffee mug, just because it really doesn't look like a coffee mug from above. So I had tried to emphasize that that's what it was. But meanwhile, it's actually my goodliness page, so where I'm tracking all my good habits, like drinking water. I've got 2 liters of water there, although it does look like 21 water. It is 2 liters of water, you know, things like that. Walking the dog, being healthy. Oh, this is where I accidentally use alcohol markers and it bleeds through the page and I'm crushed. Absolutely crushed. Completely forgot about that. So please don't do that in your own books. I'm yet to find a paper that will not bleed through with alcohol markers in a bullet journal. I don't think they exist. But that's okay because I love using watercolor and pencils, and water-based markers are still all good. So moving on to the next page, which is now the YouTube planner. And this one I've themed as a flat lay where we've got like a Chanel perfume, we've got an Yves Saint Laurent bag, some jewelry, some wedding rings. And this is where I plan all of my YouTube videos that I'm going to film that month, and any ideas or requests that I get throughout the month. I'm just going to kind of chuck them in over the page and build it up that way. Because otherwise the spreads get kind of boring to me. I mean, I'm an artist in general, so I like to make things a little bit more interesting on the pages. So I hate just like a plain blank page. It just doesn't entice me to want to draw on it. But if I've got something like this, I can fill it in and I don't know, it makes me want to continue my bullet journaling. So that is why it's a very busy spread throughout. And yeah, this is what it is looking like. Using that hint of pink gives it a more fashiony vibe, and I'm just using it to shade in things so that they kind of look like they're sitting down on the page, the shadows. Moving on to the final spread, which is my weekly planner. So this one I kept a different format than my January planners. I've allowed myself some space on each page to write 3 or 4 days worth of notes. So in these sections, I plan out my days so that I don't forget commitments that I've booked in or appointments or things that I wanted to achieve that day. So I write all those in, and then I'm still using that Tombow calligraphy pen, which I think automatically makes it look like you've really planned it out a little bit more. And then to jazz it up through the center, I've done the grapes, the beautiful grapes that make the lovely wine from the French region. I sound like what do you call those things? Tour guides. The lovely grapes of France. I always like to have a larger section somewhere on this spread for notes, which is where I put things that I want to achieve throughout the week or something to remember. I seem to always need to write a note somewhere, so this gives me that page, that automatic go-to page that I don't lose in my bag on a post-it. And to jazz this page up, I've themed it in some wine grapes kind of style, just some very simple grape illustrations, just using the one fine liner. I don't add any color to this. I just keep it nice and simple, ready for the week ahead. And once I've cleaned up the sketch, gotten rid of all the pencil from behind the markers, using my eraser, I'll give you a quick flip through of what I have created for this month. So we've got the cover page with our French girl looking very suave with her scarf blowing in the wind. And we've got the awful alcohol marker on the calendar. Then we've got the top-down view of the croissant for the to-do list, and then the YouTube planner with the fashion icons. And the finale is the weekly planner. Now, if you want to see the rest of the weeks, I do post my individual weekly spreads on my Instagram if you want to follow that. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Thank you. See you later.